Donald Trump's Department of Justice isn't just involved with the abuse of the rule of law. He's using them to pervert the economy and to harm consumers. We've got new reporting by Roger Alford, who used to be the #2 in the Department of Justice Antitrust Division until he was drummed out of the Department of Justice a month ago. But he is now sounding the alarm about what he calls a merger scandal involving Hewlett-Packard, Juniper, wireless technology, and MAGA lobbyists. And more importantly, he calls out Pam Bondi's chief of staff, Chad Mizelle, and the new #3 in the Department of Justice, replacing the old #3, Emil Bovee, Stan Woodward, a MAGA lawyer through and through, representing Jan Sixers, representing co-conspirators in Mar-a-Lago, who's now going to be the bad cop to Todd Blanche's worst cop in the Department of Justice. And according to Alford, who's now back at Notre Dame as a law professor, at some comments that he made at an institute just the other day, according to Alford, Bondi is allowing the corruption of the Antitrust Division to approve mergers in a pay-to-play scheme where MAGA lobbyists have gotten inside and are obtaining whatever they want as long as friends and family of Donald Trump are rewarded. I'm Michael Popok. You're on MeidasTouch and Legal AF. Let's get to the merger scandal. Alford's words, not mine, and his whistleblowing about it. Now, he's a unique whistleblower. He was the #2 in the Antitrust Division of the Department of Justice. Now, depending upon the size of the merger, Securities and Exchange Commission and the Antitrust Division of the Department of Justice have to be involved with approving a merger. And if there's a lawsuit that was initially filed, which the Department of Justice tried to stop even under Trump, the merger, because of what it would do to wireless technology pricing for consumers, having HP, Hewlett-Packard, acquire Juniper. Because of that, in order to settle it or to resolve it or allow the merger, a federal judge has to approve. Now, Alford's not your typical whistleblower, as I said, because he didn't blow the whistle. He didn't file a whistleblower complaint. He's not suing for money. He just took to the podium with a speech he gave in Aspen, of all places, to other people involved with the antitrust world and said, this was a scandal of epic proportion, and I lay it at the feet of Pam Bondi, Chad Mizelle, and Stan Woodward, who opened the door and allowed the MAGA lobbyists in to help their friends and family and those around Donald Trump. Let's be frank, because if Donald Trump is now allowing the merger, it's because it's benefiting someone in his world. Even directly, maybe even his family. I don't know what stakes. Here's the question. What stake does any of the Trump family have in HP? Let's check their stock portfolios. Is anybody trading on that information right now? But Alford has a bigger point. And I'm actually going to show you a clip from this speech, little watched until now, but now so important, along with a written speech that he's prepared. But you're on MeidasTouch and Legal AF. Take a minute, hit the free subscribe button here. Slide over to Legal AF and support us in 2 ways. You got Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button there. 230 million views already of our work. But come over to Legal AF, the Substack, where we post everything and become a paid member. I do live reports every day on Legal AF Substack in real time, along with guests. A lot of amazing content on Legal AF Substack. All right, let's get back to Alford, really important. What are we talking about? Antitrust Division initially sued to stop the merger. Why? Because it would be anti-competitive. That's just a highfalutin way of saying it's going to hurt the consumer in pricing because competitors are being eliminated. Less competitors, more market domination and control, higher prices. And that's what the Antitrust Division is supposed to do before Donald Trump took it over. Now, Alford has been with the Antitrust Division since before this administration. He was with the Antitrust Division since going back to Trump 1. A very honorable guy. He and his colleague were also fired a month ago because they objected to lobbyists getting inside the Department of Justice and lobbying for a result. We call that pay to play. Pay to play. You pay, and then you get to play. You get your license, you get your approval, you get your merger approved. And this pay to play is illegal. In fact, Alford has asked the federal judge who's overseeing this merger, overseeing the ultimate approval now given by the Department of Justice after all the MAGA lobbying, to look into the deal and to determine whether the corruption that he's now pointed out, Alford, exists. The backroom deals, the smoky deal, the smoke-filled rooms. What happened here? He's already come out and said it's a scandal. And he's blaming Pam Bondi, her chief of staff and chief enforcer, Chad Mizelle, and Stan Woodward. The only one that seems to come out okay in his words, Alford's words, seems to be Todd Blanche. He says, I've never had a bad interaction with Todd Blanche. Let me read to you, and I'm going to show you a clip. Well, let me show you a clip first of what Alford just said that sort of was little covered, but I spotted it. Watch what he just said about the corruption of the Department of Justice being led by Pam Bondi.
I don't view this as a systemic problem. I view this as a personnel problem. And if we can make a few key corrections, then I think we can be on the right path. So I'm going to give you my prepared remarks. It feels a little bit like I returned to the Shire after battling the orcs in the Battle of Helm's Deep. I want to speak with you today about the battle within the Trump Republican Party over the future of the second Trump administration. I'm talking about the battle between what I call genuine MAGA reformers and what I will label, I hope this catches on, the MAGA in name only lobbyists. It's a fight over whether Americans will have equal justice under law or whether preferential access to our justice system is for sale to the wealthy and to the well-connected. Will America be governed by the rule of law or the rule of lobbyists? For the words equal justice under law to be more than just a phrase etched in marble, it must be practiced by those privileged to enforce it. Attorney General Pam Bondi testified just a few months ago about this in her confirmation hearing, quote, if confirmed, I will work to restore confidence and integrity to the Department of Justice. America must have one tier of justice for all, close quote. The true MAGA Republicans know that we cannot restore integrity and protect the interests of the average American by allowing the wealthy and powerful corporations to hire politically connected lobbyists to receive special treatment.
The weather, it's heating up, and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, no matter the weather, so you get better sleep every night. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some five-star hotels. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. Upgrade your sleep as the weather heats up. Go to trymiracle.com/legalaf to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo LegalAF at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/legalaf and use the code LegalAF to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/legalaf to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. Okay. He goes on to say from the very, very beginning about MAGA's role. He said, will America be governed by the rule of law or the rule of lobbyists, his prepared speech said. For the words equal justice under law to be more than a phrase sketched in marble, it must be practiced by those privileged to enforce it. Attorney General Pam Bondi testified that in her confirmation hearing, if confirmed, I will restore confidence and integrity to the Department of Justice. America must have a one tier of justice. How's she doing with that? With her weaponization and going after only Democrats and appointing MAGA prosecutors to go after them. I don't think she's doing well. But Alford continues that the MAGA lobbyists and DOJ officials enabling them, that's Chad Mizelle, Pam Bondi, and Stan Woodward, are pursuing a different agenda. Their loyalty is not to the antitrust agenda or to rebuild confidence and integrity in the DOJ, If the rule of lobbyists prevails, the Republican vision of a realignment toward the average American will die. Mr. Alford, Professor Alford, I suggest that it's already died. He says, the core problem is simple. AG Bondi has delegated authority to leaders like her Chief of Staff, Chad Mizelle, and Associate Attorney General nominee, Stan Woodward, who do not share her commitment to the rule of law. I think he's being nice to Bondi there. With the Department of Justice led by a mix of officials with varying commitments to restore integrity, we are on a path towards injustice. He says, he calls out Woodward point blank. This is the guy that's nominated, has not yet been Senate confirmed for the number 3 job. Emil Bove was already the bad cop, because that the number 3 role is the bad cop in the Department of Justice, the enforcer. He's already been kicked out after he got confirmed, Emil Bove. He got kicked upstairs to be a lifetime appointed federal judge at the appellate court level at the Third Circuit. This is his replacement. Here's what Alford just said about Woodward. Stanley Woodward perverted justice and acted inconsistent with the rule of law. I'm not given to hyperbole. I do not say that lightly. And then he wants the court to clarify the substance and process by which the settlement involving Hewlett-Packard and Juniper was reached. So what's going to happen next? I think I wanted to point out on this particular hot take how the Department of Justice, which is really just being led by Donald Trump, he's the complete puppet master. Pam Bondi at best is a crash test dummy, a sock puppet. That this Department of Justice has not only sacrificed its entire reputation for integrity, can't be trusted as an independent law enforcement agency, but it's also being used to F with the economy and F with your and my purse, pocketbook, and wallet. You know, their instincts were not, we need to stop the merger because consumer pricing will be negatively impacted. No, we need to stop the merger in time to allow all of the MAGA lobbyists, like ants to a picnic, to descend on the picnic table and get their share of fees and lobbyists and success fees and benefit everybody that's in Donald Trump's world. And then we'll allow the merger. It's sort of like we just had another example of that, right? Paramount being allowed finally to sell its assets to Skydance, owned by a Nepo baby, Larry Ellison's son. CBS, Paramount on one side, MTV, all that, and Nepo baby Skydance on the other. That was only allowed when Donald Trump finally got his tribute. He got his $30-40 million of payments made to Trump Incorporated and Trump Presidential Library, and the Kamala Harris 60 Minutes debacle and trash 60 Minutes. Then he allowed the merger. See, it has nothing to do with you and me. It has nothing to do with competition or antitrust. There was no reason to stop that merger with Paramount. And we see this over and over again. Follow the money is my watchword for everybody who's watching me on this podcast. On this hot take. Follow the money. When you hear we're about to invest your taxpayer dollars and slush fund money into Intel to own 15% of Intel, the chip manufacturer, somebody on Donald Trump's side of the equation is being benefited, or has already been benefited, or has already stock traded on it, or has already bought, other stock in that sector or that industry benefiting from Donald Trump's policy. When he's investing in U.S. Steel, somebody on the Trump world is benefiting. When he's investing in a rare earth mining company using Department of Defense dollars so that we own a part of a company and equity, meaning it could go down the drain at any time, somebody in Donald Trump's world is being benefited. That's all we're watching. That's why he's the crypto president, because he's invested in billions and billions of his fortune in cryptocurrency. That's why he's the crypto president. And that's not even counting the investments made by his sons, by his family. When this is all said and done, and we do the final tally, and we will here on Legal AF and on MeidasTouch Network, it will be in excess. It'll be eye-popping. The Trump and the Trump family will have earned, I predict, write it down, put this in a time capsule, $5 billion or more as a family unit, as an enterprise, dare I say a criminal enterprise, before Donald Trump's term is over. Without a doubt. And if I'm off, I'll be off by a very small amount of money. It'll be a very small miss. Continue to follow it all right here. We rip the cover off these stories here on Legal AF and on MeidasTouch Network. Until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.